pour commencer, je vais introduire nos premiers, parce qu'ils sont deux, présentateurs de ce matin. Alors, la première présentation ce matin s'intitule Collaborative Bathymetry in Arviat, et c'est Nunavut. Et ce sera présenté par messieurs Julien Desrochers et Keenan Nooks Lindell. Je vais parler de monsieur Julien Desrochers. Monsieur Julien Desrochers est directeur des opérations à M2 Océans Solutions. Depuis plus de 5 ans, Julien œuvre dans le domaine de l'hydrographie. Il a été spécialiste en géomatique marine au CIDCO et depuis peu, il est directeur des opérations chez M2 Océans. Au fil des ans, Julien a cumulé de nombreuses expériences sur différents types de projets hydrographiques pour effectuer l'intégration et la calibration de systèmes hydrographiques, ainsi que l'acquisition et le traitement de données. De plus, il a un intérêt particulier pour développer la bathymétrie collaborative en régions éloignées. Il possède un baccalauréat en sciences géomatiques de l'Université Laval à Québec et a complété une formation en hydrographie approuvée par la FIG OHI ACI en catégorie B du CIDCO à Rimouski, Québec. Maintenant, M. Keenan Nooks Lindell, Coordinator for Acumavic Society. Keenan Nooks Lindell is a Ninook from Arviat, Nunavut, currently working as Yujiksuhinik, Coordinator for Acumavic Society. Keenan has 2 years of Nunavut Sivunikasavut, where he studied and researched Inuit history, Nunavut, Nunavik, and Nunatsiavut land claim agreements and negotiation, Inuktitut interviewing, and history of Arctic research. He earned a certificate in the Environmental Technology program from Nunavut Arctic College, where he studied wildlife biology, environmental monitoring, and development on the land. In addition, 2 years as a wildlife technician for the government of Nunavut and his current role with Acumavic, Keenan has 6 years of varied research experience from conducting data collection through the communicating results, collaborating with Inuit organization youth, and Southern researchers. Messieurs, vous pouvez partager vos écrans et commencer.
Super. Merci Richard pour l'introduction. Est-ce que tout le monde voit après la présentation? C'est bon?
Oui, c'est correct, merci.
Okay, perfect. All right, so today the presentation will be in English. So thank you, Richard, for the introduction. So here we go, collaborative bathymetry in Arviat, Nunavut. All right, so to do a little introduction, just to, so everybody has a scale of ocean mapping in the Arctic. Here we can see, the approximate coverage of where we have seafloor measurements in the Arctic. As we can see, there's a bit of data along the transportation corridors. If we zoom into Hudson Bay, our area of interest, we can see here that, again, we have transportation corridors near the coast, not much. If we zoom again into the community of Arviat, we can see that we have, the approach to Arviat, which seems to have been mapped pretty good. But then again, near the coast, no information. So this project, what we'll talk about is it's a collaborative project between the Aquamavik Society and M2 Ocean. So Nooks will describe what is the Aquamavik Society. Also, the environment in this area is changing. So what can we do about it? We've proposed a solution, map the seafloor. During this past summer, we trained the Aquamavik Society to build the capacity to learn and map the seafloor in their area. We'll talk about the bathymetric data analysis and results, the provided products, conclusion, and what's next. All right, so here you go, Nooks.
Hey, thanks, Julian. Thank you for the introduction. Nooks Lindell from Arviat, as you guys all heard the intro. Yes, we at Aquamavik Society run a lot of different programming for the wellness of our community. The ones that I handle are the Ujiak program, which are mainly the Young Hunters program, which teaches youth in the community some basics of how to hunt. But the other aspect is the research aspect, where we do research for the community. So starting from the community, we find out what the community wants researched. As some of you may know, there's been so much research done in the Arctic, but especially early on, none of it seemed to really benefit Inuit very much. With Aquamavik, we try to focus on what the Inuit in the community want to see and provide results that are beneficial to the community. And by partnering with people like M2 Ocean and Julian, who can help us have the technology to make that possible. Just like the hydroblock system that we have been using in Arviat. It started because many hunters in the community, especially the elders, wanted. They noticed that the ocean floor is rising and it's getting shallower. In Arviat, it's a very strong hunting culture, so it's very important to be able to have access to this information, and to be able to prove that what the elders and the community and the hunters are seeing is actually happening. And so, yeah, it's like many people don't just take the word of elders. You need kind of science to help prove that. So it's partnering with people like M2 Ocean, which is really great that we could do this research that does benefit the community.
All right, thanks, Nooks. Yeah, so interesting fact. If any of you guys know about post-glacial rebound, which is simply, many thousands of and more years ago, there was a lot of ice, in North America. And post-glacial rebound is basically the Earth getting back to its original place after, all that stress of the ice and slowly going back up. And in the Hudson Bay area, it's actually one of the places in the world where the Earth is rising the most, like more than 10 millimeters per year. So you can see that this can definitely have an impact on communities that live near the coast in that area who are navigating in the shallow areas. All right, so we identified, we have a situation. People are harvesting. They need to navigate near the coast. So what can we do? We need to find a way to map the seafloor. So Nooks gave a bit of history about Akomavik and what their goal is. So do you think they'll want to contract a private company? No way. Wait for someone else to do it, even less. That won't happen. So, let's take the matter into our own hands and learn how to do it. All right, so the technology. Obviously, we want a technology that'll be easy to use. So here, CIDCO developed the Hydroblock, which is, a fully integrated system that will allow to collect trusted crowdsourced bathymetry. So I put a link here to an article that explains a bit about TCSB. I'll just give you a bit of info. It's basically the idea is, to provide sensors that will already pre-qualified, that will give some trustworthy data. So the technology we propose, the Hydroblock, it can be installed on opportunity vessels. So for instance, we built a pole system that could be strapped to the side of any vessel. You want an easy to configure sonar. You want to have known offsets, meaning that the offset between the GNSS antenna and the sonar is fixed. You can't, they don't change, obviously. Also, another important aspect is, accurate vertical positioning to the ellipsoid. So we have a GNSS L1, L2 receiver on there that allows us to post-process the data and be accurately positioned to the ellipsoid. So that means that the data will be able to last in time. If I say, if ever the chart datum changes, if we know the separation between the ellipsoid, we can always adjust the data accordingly. And then we also have attitude measurements like roll and pitch to compensate for the attitude of the vessel. So, for small vessels, it might not have much of an impact, but if ever you get a bigger boat and you go more in rocky waters and deeper waters, it can be useful to have these types of measurements. Okay, so we found the technology. We have some motivated people who want to learn how to use it. So we got to do some training. But, as you all know, there's a world pandemic going on. So traveling logistics to and from the north are very complicated. In our case, if I was to go up there last summer, I would have had to do a 14-day quarantine before heading up. If Nux and his team wanted to come down, it's, same thing. So, we're like, that's a bit of a pain. So what can we do? So we're in, 2020. So we decided we'll try and provide distance training and make ourselves available for any needed support. So basically, we provided training for, installing the system on the vessel, operating the system, how to follow survey lines and, give tips for good survey practices. So, what type of survey speed, the line spacing we want to have, sonar adjustment, and then real-time quality control. And also with any people who have ever done hydrography, troubleshooting will be part of it, and you'll run into some issues. So how can we fix these issues? Yep. All right. So in the summer of 2020, between August and September, we were able to, Nux and his team, they were able to collect 6 days of bathymetric data in this bay, which covered an area of around 2.4 square kilometers. What's good to know is, we to determine the area that we were interested in, we asked Nux and his team, what would be a good area for them to test out the system and figured out this bay could be a good area. And also CHS has no data in that area. When I say CHS, I mean the Canadian Hydrographic Service. And Nooks, I don't know if you want to say a bit of a word of the survey operations that happened this summer, maybe the troubles you had and etc.
Yeah, thanks, Julian. Yeah, so we didn't do as many days of surveying as we hoped. It didn't have anything to do with the equipment or training. Julian made it very easy with the manual that came with the equipment. Made it very easy to set up, and then all the software and everything we just talked over the phone and figured it out, which was really convenient and user friendly. But the first time we went out voting, I think it was before the equipment even arrived, was we went out beluga hunting with the Young Hunters program. And one of the young hunters caught his first beluga whale, a young boy of 13, which was super great. But on the way back, the propeller shaft got damaged. So they had to get back to town. Luckily, they were very close. But they made it slowly back to town. But then after that, since we can't get it fixed in town, so we're very isolated, it took about 1 month to get a replacement. And that was the prime of the summer. And so we had no boat for most of that time. What we ended up having to do was we ended up having to hire other boats and kind of rigging the gear so that could fit on a different boat, and training a different captain, and just paying them a guide fee to do that. But then that was kind of on and off because people have jobs, and they also want to go hunting. So kind of long story, but we didn't get as much surveying done as we wanted to. But now that we have the hang of it, we have our boat is fixed, and so we got a replacement shaft, and our broken one is actually repaired, so we have a spare now. So when we would go out, like I said, we would take out the young hunters, or I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but we try to include the youth and the young hunters in the research as well, so that they can learn these research methods. And it's very important to show the youth that this is some potential work that they can do in the future, because part of the showing youth the wildlife research is trying to show them that Inuit and people in Nunavut can do their own research, that this is a field that they can get into if they wish. You get to be out on the land, and then most importantly, we can have, the goal is to have like Inuit biologists and Inuit doing the science and controlling the wildlife, which is so important to us. And so we would spend the mornings doing the surveys, the monitoring, and then we would spend the afternoons hunting. So it was a good mix of both, and we plan on doing the same thing in the summer, and hopefully we'll get a lot more done.
Julien et Keenan, 3 minutes.
3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll go. Yeah. Thanks, Nooks. I'll just go ahead and finish the rest really fast, I guess. Okay. All right. So after the survey was done, Nooks and his team sent over the data for data processing. So here is a super nice georeferencing equation. So the processing, we did it with NRCan's CSRS PPP. and Depstar, the CIDCO software. So with PPP, good thing to note, if you notice the antenna, GNSS antenna was pretty high. For all our surveys, we were able to get an absolute accuracy of better than 10 centimeters vertically, which is quite good without any base station. I think RTK is about to die and PPP going strong. So I'm pretty excited for that. I hope you guys are too. When we got to the data cleaning, we use automatic filters for the depth, and then we finish with manual filtering to remove the remaining outliers. And then georeferencing, like mentioned before, we reduced to the ellipsoid. We use the chart datum provided by CHS, and then applied a constant for saltwater, position source PPP, and then finished out with some pretty good data. When we did our data quality analysis, cross-line validation, for over 228 intersections, all the intersections differences were less than 20 centimeters. And like mentioned, these were done on 6 different survey days. So different survey conditions, different tide heights. And again, the mean difference was less than 6 centimeters, and standard deviation less than 5. So consistent and reliable results. And then we also compared with the NONA data set. So if I come back, okay, here you can see the transit lines. That's where we have some overlap data. So again, if we look here, when we compare the NODA data set, this data dates back from 97. We have here a few centimeters difference, here, better than 30 centimeters. So that's pretty good. Then west of Century Island, not as good. We have here, I think 50, 60 centimeter difference. If you want to know why this happened, I could give you more details later. And then we bought the data from CHS to see if we could, have, better data than the NODA grid. Turns out for this area, it was actually the same thing. Again, I'd like to tell you more, but if you wish to discuss this, you can talk to me in the chat. And then, so the provided products to the community, we had the bathymetric chart, and then to CHS process soundings, data processing details, and metadata. So we can see here, we provided a chart. Right now the survey area is pretty small, but eventually, when Nooks and his crew can map more areas, well then people could eventually use this to, navigate. So conclusions, I think it's great because, Akumovik was able to build capacity to measure the seafloor. The training and equipment provided by M2Ocean allowed to develop skills to acquire quality hydrographic data. Akumovik is now available to conduct hydrographic surveys with minimal assistance. The new skills will allow to verify community knowledge with science and ensure safer navigation. The data could be used to update CHS charts, and their preliminary analysis, concludes that it's around Kazakh B. I wrote better, but it can because we need full seafloor coverage, but that's it. So what's next? Akumovik, we hope they can continue to build capacity in ocean mapping, and learn new surveying skills. So maybe more survey planning, data processing, and like Nooks mentioned, gather more data during summer 2021. And then, identify valuable products for the community. They're doing this, they're the one who purchased the equipment, they aren't sponsored by anybody. So, let's create something for them, and, maybe create intuitive maps for, safe navigation, a map that would, we could easily see the shoals, include Inuktitut names and cultural areas of importance. And then also, the data should appear on the CHS NONA grids at the end of April 2021. it's been sent to CHS, so this should be done. And also we're in contact with the DCDB to become a trusted node and also put their data on there. Also improve the hydrographic systems and workflow. Guillaume Morissette talked about a new system in the works yesterday. And then, we want to spread the word to have other communities worldwide to embark on the collaborative bathymetry train. I'd like to thank all the project participants. Here's all the crew who participated in the coordination and in the survey at the Ecomovic Society. And then people at M2 Ocean. So thank you very much, everybody. Sorry for the rushed finish.